This is John for the Everyday Fan Sports. Today I have the pleasure of being on the beat with Loyola head women's basketball coach, Allison Guth. How are you?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being on. I'm really, as you know, I've been covering Loyola for several years, and I'm really never had a chance to sit down with you and have a little bit more in depth. So I'm hoping to do that today. Let me take you back to when you played, though. You were a very good athlete in high school, college. When did you think about coaching?
You know what, John? I literally thought about it a little bit in college. I was working some coaching clinics. We would run some coaching clinics with Nike during my collegiate time playing, and I really got the bug for it a little bit. I always thought education, teaching, mentorship was really, really cool. And I had a couple family members that were involved with education. My background was in business, though, so accounting, econ, finance is what I was studying. And in the state of Illinois, you could do those things, but you would have to teach it. Since I was in the business school, I would possibly have to teach one of those subjects. And so I wasn't quite certain if that's what I wanted to do. And when the coaching pieces came up, I just said, oh my gosh, this just feels so natural, and it also doesn't feel like work, right? I'm like, this is so amazing that we get to educate and stay involved with something that's so incredible in terms of the passion. And John, you and I are talking right now. It's March Madness, games tip off at 12 p.m., right? 12 noon. And it's something that is like you cannot replicate the highs and lows of athletics, of sport, of what it teaches you with failure and success and the journey of what you're trying to do. There's just so many beautiful life lessons that come from it. So I became very passionate with it, John. But I had a college coach who was unbelievable, Hall of Famer, US Olympian. She's since been named to the Hall of Fame, in Teresa Grants. And she guided me. I was in the business school and had a lot of opportunities in business. And she said, you don't want this life. Go do what you're doing in business. It's going to be a great life for you. At the time, my nickname was Goose. So she said, Goose, get out of here. Go do that and do that for your life. She goes, this is a lot. All the recruiting is a lot, all the life, it's a lot of sacrifice. And she was married with two little boys, and it's crazy now looking back and thinking on it, with having two little boys now is similar, seeing how she was raising her kids during that time period. But there was a lot of sacrifice involved in college athletics as well. And so she really loved the path I was on in corporate America. And that's what I did. I took a job working for a Fortune 500 company out in Denver, Colorado. And I had a call from a coach that I worked Nike coaching clinics with back here, who you'd be familiar with as you followed college basketball and high school basketball, but she was a tremendous high school basketball coach at Marian Catholic. And Shannon Reedy was pretty sure she was going to get the Loyola Chicago job. And she called me, asking would I be interested in joining her staff as a recruiter and coach. And it would be my way into college coaching. And at the time, I had just gotten back from a really epic, I would say it was more professional. It wasn't really professional development. I felt like they were taking care of us. We were out in Palm Springs, out golfing and at a spa. That it was a very corporate life, right? And I loved my boss. I loved the culture of the company I was working with. But when I got the call, I got so excited, John. I came back and I remember walking around the campus, and I got on the flight to go back to Denver. And I was like, I want to do this. I called my mom and dad, and I was like, guys, I'm turning in the company car. I'm, turning in the corporate salary. I'm turning in the perks. I'm going to buy a bike, and I'm moving to Chicago, and I'm going to coach. And so I always laugh because I'm like, oh, my family was so proud. I think they were very nervous at the time. But the reality is it's been the best decision I ever could possibly make. This game has taken me to some incredible places, incredible people to learn from and to soak in their knowledge. And I've worked alongside some just beautiful, incredible people. And then to get the opportunity to have it come full circle and to get to come back here and do it at a place I really love, believe in, And obviously have a lot of work to do, John, to get it going. But to have a counterpart, like Drew Valentine, and to see what he's done in his short tenure off of the tradition, what Porter built here on the men's side. You can't have the success like that unless you've got support, presidential support, AD support, like Dr. Reed to Steve Watson to Holly Strauss O'Brien, and what they're building here, and the vision of sustained culture of this being just a gem for college basketball. Like, John, I'm so passionate about having women's basketball be in that mix, because what Doug built at DePaul and what Joe built at Northwestern, like, I just want Loyola women's basketball to be part of the equation, not just on the A10 level, but on a national level. And I know we've got a tremendous amount of work to do, because hopefully, John, I'm not talking to you this time in March. Hopefully I'm ready to play a game. But that's my journey in coaching.
Well, that's our hope too, and we're glad you took this path. And speaking of, positivity and family and all that, I was at your press conference when you were first announced, and I've been to a lot of those press conferences, college, pros, high school, whatever.
Cool.
And I want your opinion. To me, it seemed like there was a different feel in that one than I've ever felt before. There was a weird, in a good way, a weird, good, positive vibe that honest to God, when I was done with that press conference, I called my buddy Louis, longtime buddy. He's Sam's uncle. And
Oh,
I said, Louis, there's something going on here. This is the start of something really interesting.
oh, you are
Did
so cool, John. I'm going to take that as such a huge compliment, because I got to tell you, you've been to more of those than I have. So I don't, I won't even be able to reflect on it. I will be able to reflect on that day, and how special that day was to me, because it was the start, like you said, the opportunity to really meet, our team for the first time, just, really minutes before going into that press
Oh,
conference. And
wow.
then the opportunity to, see our own family in the stands. And for a long time, John, I think anybody who chooses this life, I have a very tight-knit, close family, kind of a big Irish Catholic family from the south side of Chicago, but now lives dispersed kind of everywhere along, in the suburbs and in the city. But when you've been doing this, for my 8 years out at Yale spent, you forget what it's like. You're doing your job, but you forget that you're not doing it in front of your family, that your family gets to, were as much involved in my daily, but they didn't physically get to be present in the way that they got to be present. What was so cool is to, like, have my mom and dad there, and sisters, and the cousins and uncles and godfathers. And, it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And we all show up and support each other that way. But I forgot just what that was like. And then, John, I think what was so special, at all my stops, I've used all my recruiting relationships so heavy in this area still, because I just believe in what the product girls basketball, how good it is in high school, and the grassroots level, how good it is here. So I've clearly, there's a ton of Chicago kids that I've coached out at Yale, like
Sure.
bringing kids out that way, the Lena Munzers of the world, or the Meredith Boardmans who played for Fenwick and Highland Park, and those schools. I really have loved getting Chicago, based kids, but it's something different when you get to be back in the area around the people that helped you as a player, helped you early in your coaching career, just like the quality relationships and humans, both travel, high school, youth basketball around here. It's fun to get to see those people more physically than just coming in for a quick recruiting visit. So I think that was incredibly special. So John, thanks for mentioning that. I'm leaning into you, because you've been to more of those.
Well, it's the truth. I really, there was a different feel in that conference. Obviously, your family was there, but and you've carried that positivity through the first season, frustrating season for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
The team still stayed positive. I talked to a lot of players. I talked to a lot of the parents. Come into last season, honestly, I predicted a 500 season. You guys came right there. You're right on the
Close.
north
Yep.
side.
Yep. Yeah.
And what an amazing turnaround. How did you keep the team that positive through a really frustrating, season for, again, a lot of factors, but
John, like I appreciate the question because I got to be honest, not just you're sitting there. I have not gone through a season like that where it was as many losses, and you would imagine for some of the players, they had been through similar situations. Some had not, but for our coaching staff, most of the coaches had not been through, where the result, no matter what you're working towards, you want in sport, you're trying to get to the end of that, scoring at least one more point than the other team and coming away, you're feeling the success. I think, John, the way that we were able to do that is really simple. It's the fact that we're process driven and not results driven. If you cannot see yourself growing, we are all humans, and it is human nature to want to be improving or to be seeing the fruits of your labor of what you're working on come to fruition. It's important when you're definitely building culture and a program to have basic metrics in place where you can actually evaluate, has there been improvement? Where is that improvement? And to have metrics, both strength, conditioning, and basketball wise, to say, we're not just talking about it, we are about it. And although from an outside perspective, an eye on game day, John, you followed us. Even though we had that season, there were so many close games. There was better basketball. There was putting us in a position.
yes.
And it's not about stepping away, John. I think people really respect people. I at least do, who keep it a buck, who are going to tell you the real thing, and who are not satisfied with a moral victory. Okay. And that's where I think we were great, because we were never satisfied saying, oh, but we really did this. We said, this is what we've done. And we could be real with each other and say, this is how we've gotten better. But this is why we didn't earn the victory tonight. And this is what we got to work on. And if you keep people focused on, no, there is growth here, and we're not satisfied with the end result, we're all competitors, we're going to figure this out, I think that is what builds a winning culture. Like, I think that's actually the success that you're trying to figure out is, are you going to be the same person who shows up when, I hope I can say this, John, when shit is bad? Okay.
Fine with me.
Are you going to be the same human? What your character really reveals itself in that adversity, more so than people want to be around you when you're winning. Like, what's going to happen there? And I think that's what the first team here, I'm so grateful we were gifted the young women we were, because I think that team left the floor empty every day. I think they were bought into each other throughout. They did not stop fighting. And that to me is like the test of like, okay, these pillars that we're building our program on, like, what does it mean to be a Bulldog for us? Like, it's all on this hand right now. Pinky means we're process driven. This is our unity finger. You have to be team above all. It has to be we over me. You have to be your best, so we are our best, but it's going to be what's best collectively for the group. This means you got to be competitive. Like, we got to care about how we value the scoreboard, and how in life people are going to value the scoreboard. This stands for driven, like how you start your car. Like, you have to be self-driven starter first. And this, you have to have fun. We set the tone for all those. On the outside, you don't get to see a lot of that with just looking up our record, right? But I think that culture has to be lived, and it started that year one. And then what you saw last year was a chemistry and a cohesiveness. And it's awesome that you had us picked where you had us as moving the dial a bit. Because I'll sit with you, John. And again, there's areas where I'm pleased with some of our strides. I'm pleased with where our basketball took some steps in our identity, but I'm not at all satisfied. And there's places even this year I go, man, you talk about how we were going into our last game at G-Dub. We could have finished anywhere from 6th to 10th, and we ended up 8th. But we didn't play a great game at GW, and we could have controlled our destiny a little bit even more. And I would have liked to see us finish even a little bit higher. But don't live in a land of woulda, coulda, shouldas. Like
Right.
I live in a land of this is who you are, this is what you earn, this is what you have to do to get better. And so I think that the knowing what our mission was as a group, being true to who we were, not being accepting of moral victories, but being realistic, and then also knowing what we were getting better at and committed to. That's how I think we stayed the course and weathered the storm and got people like obviously the heartbeat of this team, and this team was Sam Gallinopoulos' team this year. She was committed enough to buy in and know what we were trying to do as a program, to say, I'm not going to take my fifth year somewhere else. Actually, I'd like to see us make some damage here. Like actually in the tournament, in the A10, excuse me, really take this thing to a new level and be a part of the group that brought it there. And that's where we were really fortunate, because it's all her leadership and those players buying in.
So what happens now? Like this your season is over. Have you already started recruiting?
Yeah, it started the day after. I'll tell you what, John, the landscape of college basketball, you understand with the transfer portal
Yeah.
and how that works. We are very excited about the incoming group we have that are very talented basketball players. John, they are still 18-year-olds, okay, 17, some of them. And the way the college basketball landscape is, look at like our starting lineup. With Alyssa Fisher, Allie Berg, and Sam Gallinopoulos gone, there's major production that is leaving, okay? But look at it just alone as Alyssa Fisher, Allie Berg, Sam Gallinopoulos. You got fifth year, fifth year, fifth year. Our average starting age in the lineup was about 23 years old. You talk about 18-year-olds going up against 24-year-olds in
Sure.
college basketball. There is a maturation, there is a strength, there is a speed, there is a college understanding. And so, John, I think for us to be successful, there has to be a nice mixture and balance. I still believe fully, John, in the maturation of a high school player and what you can build in 4 years. Like John, I'm unique because coming from the Ivy League and being 8 years at Yale, I had no transfers. Okay. That was a different world. Okay. And I say that because that there was nobody going out, and nobody's leaving that university, right? And I feel like there needs to be a nice balance between high school players coming in and being able to commit to that growth process of who I am freshman year is going to be different from who I am sophomore to junior. And yet you also need a mixture of experience that comes in and understands that experience. And that's where I think we really did well, having Allie Berg, who had competed in 2 NCAA tournaments, Alyssa Fisher, who had scored it at a high rate at college level already. So that's where we're at right now. Recruiting, we are in full force.
Well, before I let you go, I do want to ask you, when basketball is not on your mind, when you want to get away, I know you've got a beautiful family. I've seen them at pretty much all the games, but
Yeah.
what do you like to do to just get away from basketball?
Oh, John, that's such a cool question. And you know what? It is totally centered around family. Those little boys are just my life. And so it's probably right now it's so Ray and Garvey focused. And they're with them being just 4 and 2, it's not like, John, I'm running around to organized athletic events yet, or even musical things or things that they may be interested in yet. It's a lot of just like quality time with them, whether it be exploring and the innocence of a kid just learning things for the first time. It's just so cool, whether you're at a park or getting them out to all the amazing things in Chicago we have, like the zoos or museums or the aquarium. Or to be honest with you, John, just yesterday I got them library cards, and it's
Oh,
like they're
wow.
just a library feels exciting. But I'm spending a lot of time doing that. And then I would say I love to read, and like I'm normally reading something basketball or self-help related, like in the
Okay.
season, like something that I think is going to be leadership driven or team driven. Um, but this year I was like finishing a book called Good Inside, which is a parenting book. But I like in the off season to like read for fun, like have a little bit of
Sure.
something that's not just kind of something that takes me away a little bit. And that part is fun. And then I have not done this nearly as enough, but I think when you're starting a program, you don't get out doing this as much. But I love to golf.
Oh,
I love golfing. I have not done it. I probably got out once or twice last year. And one was probably at the Loyola golf outing. But I think anything that I could be on a nice long walk outside, little bit of nature, I think that's a blast. So that'll be probably something I tap into once the weather gets better.
well, it is getting better. It's getting warmer. You'll be able to get out there on the course.
Yeah, yeah.
Coach Guth, I so appreciate your time now, and really, I want to thank you for the last 2 years. Not only has it been a really exciting experience at the games, I encourage everyone to come out because there is such a crazy, great vibe. You've been extremely generous in your time with me through the 2 years, and I look forward to next season. I can't wait. I'm ready. I'm out at Loyola softball, but I can't wait for the women's basketball.
John, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for your continued support, your steady consistency and support and your professionalism, and have fun at those softball games. I know we started on that beautiful day and then it got cold again, but softball players, they're much tougher than us.
They're much tougher than me.
They can handle the elements. I'm so grateful we get to be in that 70-degree inside gym. But John, I really appreciate you following us and all the positive feedback that you're giving us. It really does help us, especially this time of year when we're still grieving the season and wishing we were out there playing. So John, thanks for recognizing the small strides that we've made as a group and hope to continue to make.
I would say you made big strides. I mean, the last season again was frustrating, but I did see it was like I felt you guys were so close, and you could see it building. And last season was just an amazing season, and next season is going to be even better. That's why everyone should really come out to Gentile Arena and watch you guys because it's such a fun night. Coach, thank you for your time. You
Of
have a
course,
great
you have a
day.
great rest of your day too, John. Thanks so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.